So what I remember as people have talked about the beginning of the organization is the story of Jonathan Wilson. Jonathan Wilson is an attorney in Des Moines, well respected, and had served on the Des Moines School Board for 12 years. Had also served on some national organization boards and knew his stuff about education and was a very strong supporter of public education. And it became known that he is a gay man, and the religious right came into Des Moines and really took over the election and told a very different narrative about him, a lot of hateful and just egregious language that they used about him. And there was not a progressive voice, organized progressive voice, to really defend him and to make sure that people understood why they should vote for him and why those pieces of what the religious right were saying about him were not relevant and really were not true. And so that story evolved to eventually become the Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, and to make sure that we always have a progressive voice in the public square on a broad range of issues.
Well, I think in a few words, it was important for us to be involved in that particular effort to speak out on behalf of LGBTQ people, because here were very conservative, ultra-conservative, right-wing people of faith claiming that this was the right way to think. This was the only way to think. This is how, if you are a Christian, this is how you must think. And our perspective was that, well, we are Christians, but we're Jews and we're Buddhists and Sikhs and other people of faith, but that's not what we believe. It was important to convey that there was a difference of religious perspectives and that our perspective was just one of the perspectives and it needed to be heard. And we felt that it was most reflective of our particular beliefs, and we needed to be there in the public arena conveying our faith as well as allowing other people to convey their faith.
For me, personally, the work that Interfaith Alliance did around LGBTQ issues was vital. There were churches and other organizations in town who were supportive, but the issues were still very much underground. And I can honestly say that Interfaith Alliance is the first organization outside of my own church, First Unitarian, to really support, hold up the struggles that LGBTQ people were having at the time. It was still difficult for people to be out in the community, and it was, working with Interfaith Alliance people, it was a safe space. It was warm and it was welcoming, and it always has been, it still is. And I'm proud to say that it doesn't have to be the only safe space anymore. There are many safe spaces, but Interfaith Alliance was definitely on the cutting edge of offering that to our community.
When I think about the evolution of the Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, it is really amazing. I think how we started out in that kind of just a few people getting together at this old dilapidated house and Drake, and now we are a voice, a progressive voice of Iowa, for Iowa, and we work in coalition with many partners. We are highly respected for what we stand for.
The amount of work that we do and the reach that we have is just amazing compared to the beginnings of the organization. We really are a statewide organization, and although we're not in every community physically, we have a presence through supporters, and we have a presence because of the work that we do. Our growth at the political level, particularly at the state legislature, it has grown so much, and the broad range of issues that we tackle are just a huge spectrum. I think the biggest piece of how it has grown are the relationships that we have. That is for the benefit of Iowa. We oftentimes are called upon by the media to put that different voice than you hear from the conservative perspective. And so it is just critically important in the state to have an organization like Interfaith Alliance of Iowa on the front lines doing the work and doing it with all of our ally and partner organizations. The early days were really about building presence. And so I remember many different meetings particularly with faith leaders. Our office at the time was at a church down by Drake University, and so sitting around and having conversations with faith leaders about immigration reform, having conversations certainly about LGBTQ rights, having conversations on a broad spectrum of issues. And that was really about making sure that folks knew about the work that we were doing, but also how could we work together and make sure that there was a strong progressive voice in Iowa.
I never thought about 25 years ahead. Had no idea that the organization would continue for 25 years. Didn't really think about it as needing to continue for 25 years. But as every year goes on, it's just been absolutely clear that the organization must continue. There's nothing like it in the state. I do feel like we've made a difference at very critical times in the state. I'm just grateful that people have been able to rise to the challenge. So I feel very confident we will continue to do that in the future.